got a journeyman license, and then I started making the most money I've ever made in my life. You know, even as an apprentice, I didn't have to go to college. I didn't have to go into debt. I literally just showed up and I was paid to make mistakes and paid to learn something.
Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. Now, this is a podcast I've been looking forward to doing. We've been friends for 3 years now?
I don't know. Calling us friends? Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's not really friends.
I'm an electrician, you're a plumber.
I know that we could never be friends. Never. That would never happen. Well, I'm here with Dustin Stelzer today. This is so cool because you're right. You're an electrician. I'm a plumber. Met you through YouTube, saw what you were doing, realized you were down in Austin. And man, I come into town one day and hollered, said, "Hey, can I come by and visit you?" Walk in your studio, your shop, and you're sitting here doing everything yourself. And I'm like, "Well, do you have anything for this? Do you have anything for this? Do you have anything for this?" You're like, "Dude, I just make videos, edit them."
Yeah.
And you were growing like crazy.
Yeah, so, but you had all of this software, all these things, tools I had never even heard of to analyze your channel and everything. I'm like, no, I'm literally just recording and putting it on, and you've put me on so much stuff, man.
Look, I love that. But the cool thing is, man, you're a great electrician. I love hearing your stories, love talking about what you're doing. So we're going to jump in and just really, how did you get in? First of all, who are you? Where are you at? Where can people find you? Because I want to make sure they check out your YouTube channel, everything you're doing on social. Let's start with that, which I normally don't do. But
okay.
Dude, you're doing amazing stuff. So tell everybody about you, where you're at, what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so my name is Dustin Stelzer. I am a master electrician in Austin, Texas. Been doing electrical for almost 2 decades. From a very young age, I've always kind of been doing mechanical type of stuff, job sites. I have, parents and uncles and, a whole history of construction people. So I got into it and I just fell in love with working with my hands and like building things, taking things apart. Like there's just something cool about pulling a motor apart and seeing all the gears, like how everything works. So I fell in love with that. And then I went through an apprenticeship. So for 4 years, I had to sit and be an apprentice and learn everything about it, got a journeyman license. And then I started making the most money I've ever made in my life. Even as an apprentice, I didn't have to go to college. I didn't have to go into debt. I literally just showed up and I was paid to make mistakes and paid to learn something. And it was a different kind of learning. So institutional learning, you're in a group of people. The teacher doesn't know you or care about you.
You're just a number.
Yeah, this is like one-on-one. You're riding in a truck with some dude every single day or multiple different people. It changes, And then you're going into houses one day. You're going into businesses another day. Some days you're troubleshooting and fixing stuff. Some days it's just building a brand new thing. I'm also really artistic. So like I love hanging huge-ass chandelier.
You're good.
I love hanging huge chandeliers. I like, making wiring and conduit, like everything look really pretty. So for me, everything about it, working outside, not in a cubicle, having no boss yelling at me, just the kind of freedom to exist and all of it I fell in love with.
So what made you pick electrical? Is it just because there were electricians already in your family?
No. So actually I was doing a tile job with my dad at some dude's house, and it was somebody my dad went to church with. And when the guy came in, my dad looked at me and I think he was tired of like just dragging me he didn't need me,
Right.
But I was like 21.
There, right.
He's like, get out of the house, come do something with me. And so this dude walks in and he looks at him, looks at me, looks at him again. And he's like, "Hey man, you hiring electricians?" He's like, "Yeah, we are. You just got to go show up and interview." And he looked at me and he's like, "Go.
Guess where you're going to be." Yeah, guess where you're going to be.
And so like I had seen, my dad had some electrician friends and I'd run some wire before and hooked up ballast and stuff. Didn't know anything about it, but I just knew that being an electrician, there's kind of an intelligence factor to being able to figure out how things work. And
just
technology.
Under plumbers.
Yeah.
If you were any smarter, you could have been a plumber.
I knew it was coming.
You did. You did. Yeah. Start from the very beginning. I love that because your dad, even though y'all were doing tile, your dad was a pipe fitter.
Yeah.
Not an electrician.
Right.
Okay. See, I didn't want my son to be a plumber, but then, I wanted him to go to college, but then, he got out of high school. He's like, "Look, I'm getting a job. I'm going to work. I'm doing this." And he wanted to come to work in the union. I'm like, no. The union's a career, plumbing is a career, yada, yada. Go get a job. You're going to mess up. You're going to be late. You're going to get fired. You're going to do things. And about 2 years later, he came back. He said, "Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for a career, not just a job." and we sat
really
and talked about
advice.
it. And I look at it like a lot of kids, especially if it's a big company that, I mean, I would not get out of college or even go to work at Google for my first job. Because it'd be like, I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah, that's
let me go make some mistakes first.
Get some maturity in you.
And let me grow a little bit. So I love that, getting introduced to the trades by your family and stuff like that, but then picking electrical. So your first job, how long did it last? I'm assuming you got hired by that company you went on the interview for.
Like same day. And for me, it was a great wage. It was higher than I'd been paid to do anything, and it was an apprentice. And the benefit was I knew how to use tools, and I'd been kind of in and out of those environments. So the boss was just like, yeah, I can match that wage that you're asking for, and all you got to do is show up with a set of tools, and that was it. So the first thing that we did is it was upscale residential. So this was a new construction company, and they did light commercial, restaurants, banks, stuff like that, and then 10 to 20 million and up homes. So I got to go to these crazy houses, man, and I'm seeing Lambos and like the biggest houses I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is MTV Cribs level stuff.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And so I got to see car museums built on the side of a house underneath a house that had like a shower as big as my house, and it was just crazy. Like,
you got to run around to hit all that.
Yeah. And all these houses are automated. And this is back in, like 2006, 2007 kind of time frame. So you would have little touch screens where you could go and control your jacuzzi and just lighting control system. So if you walked into a room, music kind of followed you through the house. And I'd never seen anything like this. And we were setting up home theaters with like theater seating and custom lighting that dimmed and everything. And the sound. I was like, this is so cool. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. I've never had a job this cool.
I love that. That is neat. Now, later, okay, so let's back up just a second. What is one of the best things you learned as an apprentice? And I mean, just, you said that you had to bring your own tools the first day. A lot of apprentices, I tell them, look, show up with a tape measure, adjustable pliers, an adjustable wrench, maybe a flashlight, depending on what kind of job you're going to do. Show up with something, let them know, look, I've got something.
Yeah.
What did you show up with your first day?
Well, my old man had everything under the sun, because he's a handyman. He's done every kind of trade over his whole career. So he's like, I'm going to give you this little leather pouch, and here's a little wiggly screwdriver, tape measure. You're probably going to have a hammer and, a few things. So he put some stuff together that was just his crappy tools. And he's like, at least this will get you your first few days until you figure out what you need. You're probably going to need to buy a drill and a couple other things, So what I showed up was this ramshackle, crappy thing, but at least it had the right brands, It was all Klein screwdrivers. So I didn't catch too much crap from the people around, but very quickly I had to get a whole new set of everything.
It doesn't take long.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long. So it didn't take you long to figure out either you need to be the best. You need to be the best apprentice. You need to be the best tradesman. And I try to tell people this starting out in the trades, look, come in with this attitude if you want to be the best. Because if you try to be the best apprentice on the job, the best apprentice at the company, then the best journeyman, and it moves up, you're going to become the best company owner. You're going to understand and see things a completely different way. What did you do to become better, to learn more, to grow?
Well, for me, childhood trauma left a chip on my shoulder. So I've always lacked a good male, older role model in my life. So when I got into a group of older men, that was all like currency was work ethic.
You bet.
You were a hard worker and you did clean work and people could rely on you. You showed up on time. You got a load of this credit in their eyes, and they would treat you better and they would give you more opportunity. And so the really good ones wanted you on their truck, and that's where they would sit and explain and teach you theory and like really pour everything they had into you. And that's what I loved. So as long as I could be really dependable and do great work, I would always evaluate all the other apprentices around. And I'm like, when they're going to be off smoking cigarettes, I'm in here nailing up cans. Like, I'm not going to be seen slacking ever.
Yes.
I'm going to get more wire run through the rest of the day and more conduit up in the air through the rest of the day. My stuff's going to be great, straight, and perfect. And so, after doing that every single day and making that my mentality, after a while, it was just naturally, I saw I was more liked. I was fought after. Like, everybody wanted me on the truck because I was going to go places in this trade. And so I was worth putting that time into. Mm-hmm. And I'd say 75% of the other apprentices were just showing up. Didn't matter if they were at McDonald's or an apprentice. They didn't care. It was just a job. for me, like from day one, it was a career, and I had a kid, so I had to pay child support too. So like I needed to take something seriously in my life. So it was the perfect time for me to have that mental acuity about my future and see it as a career and take it seriously. And yeah, and now, going into my journeyman too, I've always let a company know when I go to work for them, like, I'm going to be your best employee. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to be paid higher than everybody. I'm going to go further. I'm going to know more, and I'm going to be your biggest asset. You're never going to want to lose. And to have the confidence to say that to somebody
up front.
I never don't get what I want to get paid when I ask about,
You bet.
They just know, they get it immediately. It doesn't matter if they interview me and ask questions. Because the other thing that I always say is I say I don't know when I actually don't know something.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always tell a boss, like, I'm looking for an education here. I'm not looking to jump ship for $1 an hour somewhere else. I want the best company because I want you to make me an all-star electrician. And if you can do that, I will work for you. But if you can't do that, I'm going down the road.
Right.
And every one of them they would not let me leave their office without an offer, because they knew that I was confident in myself, put quality first, and I wanted an education. And it's so rare to hear an apprentice walk in and say that.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And one of the things you started with, work ethic is currency.
Yeah.
A lot of young kids don't understand that. They're like, look, I've got a job. I'm just showing up. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be here. But, and I go back, I read the book by Seth Godin, The Dip. If you're not trying to be the very best, why not? The best get paid more. They get better opportunities. They get better job offers.
They don't get fired when times are tough.
Yeah. They're like, look, will you sweep floors for a week? We have nowhere for you to go, but we don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
You don't even really have to sweep the floor. Just have the broom close by.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been in positions like that. It's like, look, we're not losing you, but we really don't have anything for you to do. So if you'll just show up somewhere and look good, do whatever it is. And I like that because it lets you know, okay, they want me.
Yeah.
And to be able to walk into a company, I got into the union in 97. I'd been plumbing for 17 years. So got into the union in 97. And of course they talk bad about you. You're a rat. You don't know anything. You're open shop. Mm-hmm. You hadn't even learned the right way to spell your name. Whatever it is, that they talk bad about you. So I decided I'm going to outperform these guys every single day. I'm going to put in more work. It's going to be straighter, truer, plumber than anything they've ever seen. And that came up several times. People would come in and complain, hey, Roger's got headphones on under his hard hat. Like, well, whenever you put in as much pipe as he does a day, you can put headphones on under your hard hat.
You make his stuff look just as good.
Yes.
Those headphones are working for him.
You bet. And then they'd come back and say, well, can you complain about his work? And they're like, no. He puts it in true plumbing square. We never have to go back and fix it. We never have to go back and change it.
Yeah.
It's right every time. And they're like, so do you want him working for us or the competitors?
Right.
And, they're like, okay, I'd rather him be here. It's like, then don't worry about the headphones.
Yeah.
Don't worry about whatever it is you're complaining about at this point. But the cool thing is I learned, like you a long time ago, if I do things better, if I work harder, if I'm correct in the way I do things, I can make more money.
Yes.
I had a president of a company walk in one day and we're talking about, it was review time. And I walked in, he said, Roger, you're already the highest paid superintendent that I've got. He said, you make more than most of the project managers. I said, well, I should.
Yeah.
And he said, why do you think it? Why do you see it that way? I said, well, I'll tell you, but then I want you to tell me why you don't see it that way. I'm the one on the job in the field with the guys, making sure things get on time, under budget, and safely. People don't get hurt. I don't lose money on my jobs, and we hit our schedules. So why shouldn't I be the highest paid guy?
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he's like, well, most of the project managers, I said, number one, most of, compare me to all of them, because you told me I'm the second highest paid person. I want to know who's the highest because I should be making more than that. And he's like, look, I'm not even going to argue with you about that. To get in and to do things and have the confidence in yourself. I'm like you though. My first plumber was not the best. He was great, good at what he did, but he didn't want me to learn anything. He would not let me stand next to him looking at blueprints. I had to stand on the other side of the pile of sheetrock.
That's a kind of weird.
Kind of weird. He did not want me to do anything but watch him work. And I got tired of that real quick. But later I went to work for two other plumbers that were the best. And I understand wanting this apprentice to work with me because they're like, Roger, you come with me. Roger, you come with me. When I got with them, I worked harder, I worked smarter, and I can truthfully say I learned good work ethic from those two plumbers. And I've carried that with me all the way through my career. And I think it's been really, really good. And I think it's done a lot for me. So you went on later and opened up your own business.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to open your own business?
Well, I kind of, my entire life, I've had businesses. I've just, from an early age, I've always seen that I'm somebody that if there's opportunity out in front of me, I'm going to chase it. I've never been somebody that just shows up and does the minimums for anything. And so for me, looking at the potential for me to actually do things my way and to curate an entire crew of people that are going to do things my way and just be around a highly skilled group of people that actually care and are trying to do quality work, I know that I can make a lot more, but I know I can kind of create my imprint on things. So that's even with my YouTube channel with ElectricianU, it's like I've always just looked to see what's missing out there, and I want to create some kind of solution for a problem and solve a problem. And I know that I can make a high degree of money for myself and live a very comfortable life rather than just kind of being beholden to being an employee somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with that. 90% of people are going to be employees.
Or 95.
Yeah, I'm definitely that top 5%, top or bottom, whatever I guess you call it. But I've always been a chaser, right? So I do well with commission jobs. If there's like a sales goal and there's a $10 million quota you've ever met, I'm going to hit 20 million by day 2. And I
want to hit it now. I don't want to wait till the last
I want to
day.
watch that check grow, and I want to. So the variability in business is something that kind of excites me. Whereas, if you're an employee, you have a consistent check. You're not getting any more or any less. But if my business does $1 million in revenue versus 10 million in revenue, that's a good payday.
Big difference. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a game to it. It's like a strategy almost. It's like, can I get trucks this year for my guys? Can I, so there's just a lot of different things. And there's multiple jobs too as a business owner. You got to wear the hat of being the tax guy, and you got to make the website, and you got to know what business cards are and you got to talk to customers, and you got to do the work. And if somebody doesn't show up, it's you that's got to deal with all that
every day.
Yeah. So it's a very dynamic kind of a job instead of it just being, here's your job every day, do the same thing over and over.
Now we're going to talk more about ElectricianU in a moment, but guys, if you have not gone to ElectricianU, if you don't know who Dustin Stelzer is, even Journey to Master, do you still do anything over there? I know that he's got 2 great YouTube channels. Journey to Master, do you still do anything there? I know it's still up.
I haven't in 3 years, but everybody in my audience is like, dude, please get back to it. So
I love that.
Coming with the new studio, yes.
Good. So guys, Journey to Master, Journey to the number 2 Master, right? Mm-hmm. ElectricianU, just you. If you hadn't gone over there, if you hadn't subscribed, do, because I watch what Dustin does. Same thing. I watch it because I can take out the word plumber, put in the word electrician. That's easy for me to do. Sorry, slipped out.
And then we're the same channel, really.
I know.
I have a beard, you have a mustache. We could really just replace each other.
We could do a lot of cool stuff together. And it's funny because I have people jump in and say, Roger, if I took out the word plumber and put an electrician, you make me a better person. And then I have people jump in and say, you and Dustin ought to do stuff together. Do y'all know each other? Like, why would I do anything with him? He's an electrician.
Yeah.
I have fun with it. But it's really pretty cool. When you decided to start your own electrical company, what are the first steps that you took? A lot of people reach out to me and say, look, I want to go to work for myself. And I always tell them, ask them, what is your reason? And if their only reason, look, I just want to make a lot of money, that's the wrong reason.
Right.
You've got to come in with a mindset that's bigger than that. You want to make a lot of money, work overtime, do whatever you want to do. People also tell me, well, I want to open my own company so I don't have to work as hard as I do now. Yeah. And I tell them that's the wrong reason, because you're going to work harder than you've ever worked. Yeah. Harder than you've ever worked.
You don't know what work ethic is.
So what is it? What are the steps that you started taking to open your own company to make sure you would be successful?
Well, the first tactical steps is I use technology to do all the work for me. That's something that's definitely changed throughout the years. Now I go to LegalZoom and I can in 5 minutes have a business formatted. So it's really easy using technology nowadays. The other thing is I've always been called the kid, young master electrician. I was 29, I think, when I got my master license. And so I've always been that like super studious, nerdy kid that is respected, but still really young.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole thing was, I'm going to do this different than all of these older guys that I'm around that I know are running businesses. They don't use technology. They're still chicken scratching on pieces of paper still today.
I know.
In 2013,
I know people doing it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Give me an app that I can do invoicing, estimating, everything, communications with my customers. Let me change social media and create some meaningful content that's silly or whatever that just gets people watching.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be known in my area, and every single customer that knows me, I'm going to be on, not actual friends with them, but I want them to talk to me and look at me on that friendship respect level. So they know who to call. There's never a question. They're never going to call anybody else. And just developing that close, really caring kind of a thing with your customers, solving problems, looking for problems that don't have solutions, and trying to be the person that fills that, like your leak detection stuff. I mean, you see something really great there, and being the
whole
person.
New opportunity.
Yeah. So I just like to do things way differently than everybody else is doing. And even now with ElectricianU, like I'm into AI, AR, VR, like as much technology as I can get, all kinds of different software apps. And so I think the way that I look at things is I'm in the middle of two generations that are really impactful right now. And I think my generation in general is that middle generation. We're in our 30s. I see the industry as people that are running it right now are the old guys. It's all, 60-year-olds are getting ready to retire. And then you got these young guys that are 18. And so I have always been able to speak to the youth because I have an 18-year-old kid, and I had a kid when I was 18. So I've been that very youthful minded person, really into whatever the youth culture is about. But I've also built enough respect and time in service with the older generation to really understand how they do things and why they do things. So it's unique that I get to be at the age that I'm at and still have the formal structure that our entire industry is built on in these older generations, but to get to understand everything the youth is doing and what they need. So I just try to be at that cutting edge of all of that. And I bring that into my business as well, not even just training electricians, but all my customers. It's like, I want you to understand that I use this app, and I want you to use this app, and look at this lighting control system. There's nothing like this in the US. This is a brand new thing, So just being the one that's kind of pushing the boundary at the cutting edge all the time. That's what I love to be.
I love that. And I want to go back. You talked about having respect. The younger kids respect you, and they come to you that way. When you got into the business, when you got into the trades as an apprentice, learning electrical the first time, and you've already talked about it, you learned from some guys, they would fight over you. Did you show them the respect they deserved?
Absolutely. I show everybody the respect that they deserve. And I mean that quite literally. You show me that you don't respect me and you don't deserve my respect, brother, it's coming.
And the reason I asked, and I knew the answer, I did. You and I are a lot alike. I love learning from older people. They know things that we may never see.
Yeah.
And I love making videos about that.
But I guess what I should finish that by saying is, I always proceed everything with respect with everybody first. I always give people respect. Even if somebody maybe doesn't deserve it, I still always look for the benefit and what can I take away from people. And as long as you are respectful and you are respectable, most people are just going to respect you, in the trade specifically.
You bet.
If you're the hardworking person, if you're listening and doing the things that they say, even if you don't like their way of doing things, you're getting paid to do it their way. So just do it anyways. But if you're that kind of like high quality echelon person that everybody can rely on, you're going to get the respect. It's just going to come with it.
No, I love that. And what I want people that are thinking about getting in the trades to hear is, if you get in and respect these people, and look, there's 10 different ways to do almost anything. And the journeyman you work for is going to want it done his way.
Yeah.
And if you can learn his way and do it his way and do it efficiently, it may be better than the way you've been taught by somebody else. It may be better. But the cool thing is, you get in and you get to learn different ways to do things. Then eventually, one day, you're going to create your own way, and you're going to want to teach that to somebody else to help them. I don't understand these kids that get in the trades, that they show no respect at all. It's like, dude, look, I'm just here for the check. I'm just here for the job. Don't tell me how to do it your way. I'm going to do this my way. And I'm like, dude, I will throw you off the edge of the building. Okay?
Yeah, you're fireable. Whatever. You can have that attitude, but you ain't
have that attitude all you want, but you're going to have it while you're walking off the job site.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell them, I don't need you. I can get more work done without you.
Yeah.
And I wish that more kids, more people getting into the trades understood this journeyman that they're working with is teaching you the way he's built his life. Yeah. He's got a career that pays his bills. He's trying to teach you that same thing. I love your thing. Listen, take the idea, do it their way. Even if it's not the way you want to do it, do it. You're going to show him, look, you tell me what to do, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then he's going to tell you more, teach you more, and let you grow.
Yeah. And the best thing is that you're always evaluating other people you work under. So as an apprentice, you're probably going to work under like 10 or 15 different people. And some of them,
maybe a week, depending on what kind of company you work at.
Yes. Small and mom and pop things, you might only have 3 teachers. And those 3 teachers, you might think they're the best in the world until you go to another company and be like, whoa, they didn't know anything that they were talking about. But it's still good. Like any lesson that you can find, I always say you're learning something from everybody around you. You're either learning how
something good or how not to do it.
Yeah, but that's even good to know.
It is.
You know, because there's a lot of times with books that I'm writing or stories that I'm telling, like shows that I'm on, these crappy stories end up being such a great thing to talk about because I find other people relate to it a lot. They're like, yeah, I've had to work for this guy that's just a jerk, you know, and I don't know how to handle it. Like, how do you handle it? So it gives me experience to talk about all of that. So I still think it's great. Like across the board, doing crappy work that you know is wrong for somebody. There's not much you can do as an apprentice. You just got to do it, but it's still experience. Just always take the lesson in everything.
I like that. I like that a lot. You do learn how not to do things. And sometimes that's the best lesson you can learn. So coaches and mentors to once you started your business, did you have coaches that you could talk to? Did you have mentors? Did you have other company owners that you could go in and talk to? And I ask that because people like you and I get questions all day long. How do I run a business? How do I start a business? How do I do this? I'm working for a journeyman that I don't think knows very much because I'm watching your video and ours doesn't look as good as yours. Did you have anybody you could talk to back then?
Well, so the original guy that hired me has always been kind of a mentor in my life. Like he's one of the best men I know, honestly, just cares about people, takes care of, shows up for what he says he's going to show up for. Knowing that I had a kid, like there was never a day where I had to call him and be like, hey, I got something going on with my kid right now. He's like, no, family first, always family first. You take care of you and I'm still here.
It's what it's all about. Day, absolutely.
Yeah. So I had him I could kind of rely on. When it came to real like numbers, business stuff, I find that the older guys in the industry, they're very much like reserved about sharing financial information with people. And my generation were like, nah, like here's this and that,
Yeah.
So,
I got a Lambo. Yeah. I turned 10,000 into 100,000 into $1 million. I got a Lambo.
So a lot of the money sides of things I had to figure out on my own really. And he was really the only person that I could look to about stuff, but he was also so busy that I couldn't really rely on him to be a quote unquote mentor. It was just more like I'd call him if I ran into a problem with the city and I didn't know how to solve it, or there was a problem on a job site and I'm like, I have no clue how to deal with this, and so I would call him. So he helped answer a lot of questions throughout the way. So I kind of owe everything to him for starting me on my path and kind of supporting through it. But no, beyond that, it's just been banging against every wall like a pinball, just hitting every wall, trying to figure it out. But there wasn't also a lot of like YouTube channels and stuff talking about any of this, which is why I started doing it. I was like, there's got to be people out there like me that are struggling as a young kid, master electrician, brand new in the industry, trying to figure all this stuff out. So that's why I started Journey to Master, was just to film myself making all the mistakes, getting fired and having to deal with it, when to hire, is Angie's List working or is Home Advisor working, and all of those things. So it was it was a lot of experimenting, really, man.
So do you get out and network? Do you get out? See, I tell people about me when I started my business, I had all the time in the world, no money. So I'd go into real estate offices and say, hey, I'd do research, find out who the top broker is in that office and go in and try to meet with them and walk in and say, hey, look, I'm a plumber. Do you do sewer water test prior to buying a house? Do you know that there's leaks under there and it could cost your customers a lot of money? And oh, by the way, if you use me, I'll take better care of your clients than you do.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you tell them that they look at you like, wait, I take great care of my clients. Not saying you don't. I'm going to go above that. I just want you to know. And so stuff like that would normally give them enough of an insight to me, say, okay, look, we'll at least give you a try.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they use me, and then their customers come back and say, oh my God, I love your plumber.
Yeah.
And I used to have a painter he started referring me. And after about the fourth time, he called me up. He says, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? What am I doing? He says, well, every time I send you out, every time I refer you, those people always call me back and say, oh my God, I love your plumber. And so we started putting it on, you'll see one of the big Yetis out there I've got ice in. On one side of it, it says, I love my plumber. And we started using that and working with it. But do you get out and network? Do you get out and go to events, meet people, talk about being an electrician?
So when I was starting my company, that was what I did, because like you were saying, when you start out, there's no money coming in.
You got all the time in the world. Yes.
And you know, I'm putting stuff on Craigslist, and I'm trying all these lead feed services to try to get leads in. And at first, the best thing to do is to go meet people, to figure out, you know, go to little networking meetups with other business owners, and, you know, just shake hands with people. And if you're really personable, like you and I, the reason we get great reviews,
we can talk
from
to
people,
anybody in the world.
Yeah, we have fun. Like I like to learn somebody's kids' names and what their dog is. So every time I come over, I can be like, oh, come here, dog.
How's Oscar doing?
Yeah. You know, like I actually do literally care about the people. And I think that comes off. So it's the same thing. Like once I started doing work for people, they would word of mouth. Like I just met the coolest human
you bet
that I've ever met. And he's an electrician. If you ever need an electrician, dude, I got this guy, because we're just different. Right. And I think as a business owner, a lot of people, they think of it like it's a job when they go and they're just getting a paycheck. Yeah, those guys are only never going to be just getting a paycheck. But the people that take it seriously as a career are going to be the ones that are going to go far. Business owners, it's the same thing. If you just start a business to get some money and you're just kind of hacking through the motions, you're forgettable.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that shows up and is impressive and is fun and like just a joy to be around, and you've got a high degree of intellectual, you know, aptitude for everything, for conversation, for all of it, people are just going to fall in love with you as a human. And that matters more. That's what the company's going to grow. You're going to get business because you stand out in a weird way. You're different. And that's what people love.
I love that. So networking to me, and I remember my ex-wife, Julie, used to try to get me to go networking. She went networking all the time. Now she was an etiquette and protocol consultant. So not a lot of people think that they need that. So the phone wasn't blowing up or anything. And she finally talked me into going one night. I kept telling her, look, plumbers don't network, okay? They just don't do it. I've never heard of a plumber going networking. So we went to an event, and when we walked in, and of course, I've got on my Texas Green plumbing shirt. When we walked in, I said, you go your way. I'm going to go mine. We're not here to date. We're not here to mingle. You go have fun. I'm going to come in and have fun. It's at a bar, so, you know, I know how to have fun. 2.5 hours later, we leave, and she's like, Roger, every time I looked up, you're talking, you're waving your hands in the air, you're going on and on. You've got a crowd of 5 or 6 people around you. What are you doing? It's like, well, you know, people would walk up and see my shirt and say, oh my God, you're a plumber. And I'm like, no, I'm a drug dealer. Just wear this shirt because it throws the police off.
But even seriously, even that little comment you just made,
and I know it.
You're funny and you're engaging.
It makes them laugh. It makes them have fun.
So now they relax immediately.
Now they relax. And they're like, oh my God, that's so funny. And then they're like, well, I had to call a plumber last week. They came out and they did this. I think they charged me too much. This is what they, and I never want to tell them, yes, you were charged too much. Like, look, I don't know what all the details are. So, you know, you may not have paid enough, to be honest. And you know, you make them feel at ease. Or, and that's true. I mean, you know, they may have changed your water heater to an upgraded water heater, and that's what was more. Well, I don't know everything.
Yeah, nobody's pricing is the same either. There's not a standard price for putting in a water heater. It's whatever the guys want to charge and whatever you're willing to pay.
Well, how much value did they bring you?
Yeah.
You know, did they get there quick? Did they get you hot water right then? Did you have hot water before you went to bed that night?
Yeah.
And they did what they were supposed to do. The price you paid, you know, I don't know. But getting out networking, I realized, and by the way, not only did I have a crowd around me all night, we got 3 phone calls the next week. So I'm like, okay, this networking thing may work. This is pretty cool. And when I started doing social media, that's what I did. Just sat down and tell them about plumbing. I was trying to grow a plumbing company. got ripped off by marketing companies. I spent $47,000 for companies to make my phone quit ringing. What kind of marketing did you do when you started your company other than networking?
So that's where our YouTube following comes from. I'm pretty sure we had a pretty similar trajectory.
Very much.
With me, I was trying anything with social media that I could because I was young and I wanted to build something on social media. So I knew that attention was the currency of that environment. And as long as you could constantly and consistently put stuff out to keep people's attention, you're going to naturally, organically grow over time. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It might take you 10 years to get 1 million followers. It might take you 1 year. Depends how interesting, cool, and unique and weird and different, how hard charging you are. But I just knew that I would grow people following me, and all my customers follow me. They follow my journey. And so I just started making content. And when I first did it, I was making it to try to get the phones to ring. And what happened is I just got a bunch of electricians following me. So I was like, wow, the whole YouTube thing, I was thinking about it all wrong, So that has turned into a whole different company, a whole different reason as to why I do it. Like, I like to teach people, and I considered like a really good teacher because I break huge concepts down into really easily digestible things. And I'm really passionate about what I do. So I've learned through doing social media that like being consistent over a long enough period of time and engaging with the people that follow you on a regular basis and talking with them, being cool with them. They got questions in there in the DMs, answering them in the comments, answering it. It's networking, but it's on a way bigger scale. Mm-hmm. But you can do it from your couch on your phone. There's a lot of just communication with people. It's key. It's what makes you grow, because then they fall in love with you. And again, just like we were saying with being a personable plumber, being a personable human being on camera, and people will fall in love with you. The reason people follow you is because they love you.
You bet.
They want to keep seeing you. There's 50 people that talk about, electrical stuff, but there's a way that I talk about it that they just like me, and they like that I talk about my kid when I'm on Instagram, and they like when I show pictures of me out in the field on TikTok. I'll do a video, so they just like seeing all aspects of my life, and they fall in love with it. And so I think even as a business owner, for being an electrician or a plumber, you want to involve yourself as much as you can so that people know about you. That's what networking, I think, does, is it gets people to know, hey, I'm Roger, I'm a plumber, I'm funny as heck, I'm from Texas, I do these podcast things, I'm like a hard charging person. Because then they know you as this crazy Roger Wakefield thing, rather than just a forgettable plumber with dirty fingernails.
Well, number one, I don't have dirty fingernails anymore, but and I did quit biting my fingernails a long time ago. But the funny thing is, I started my company too, and then started using YouTube to make videos to make my phone ring. Yeah. It's funny you use that exact phrase, because that's what my deal was. How do I make the phone ring? And I went to a conference to learn social media, because at the time I'm 54. I'm old for social media standards.
So old.
I know. Old.
You're
I know.
So
and now
old.
I'm even older. It's bad. But the funny thing is, I'm at this conference, and I'm walking down the hall, and I'm there to learn Facebook. Because at 54, that's what social media is. It's right. Facebook. Yeah. And I'm walking down the corridor, and I walked past this placard outside of a room that said, "Get in front of your customers using video." Well, we had done some videos that were really ads. Okay, ads for the plumbing company. So I go in, I sit down on the front row, and this guy walks out, and the very first thing he says is, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And I shut my notebook. I'm like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. YouTube is just where I store my videos. Because the 3 or 4 videos that we made about being honest and being the best company and yada, 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 that's where we stored them. So I shut my notebook, and I turn, I'm fixing to get up, and I look, and there's people standing along the back wall. The room is packed. And I turned back around and looked up at this guy in time to hear him say, "And it's owned by Google, the largest search engine in the world." Mm-hmm. And I thought, wait, we're paying Google so much money for ads to get clicks to do what companies do. Mm-hmm. And I turned back around, and over the next 45 minutes, you'd be surprised how much smarter this guy got, because I took 3 pages of notes of here's what I need to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I started with YouTube. Where did you start on social media?
It was YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so as a younger person, as an artist, I've always been posting stuff on Instagram, but it was just like pictures. And that was another thing, is I wanted to have people buy my art. So I would draw stuff, pictures up, and then you can hashtag stuff so you can join communities and get, so people know who you are within a certain community.
When I started YouTube, it was literally, I was trying to teach people how to fix their own plumbing, how to unstop a toilet, how to change the insides out, how to stop a running toilet, how to look at this, how to look at this, how to do this, how to do this, things to know. What content did you make starting out? Because I did like you. I started out making content thinking it would make my phone ring at the plumbing company. Then I started realizing I've got more plumbers watching me than homeowners. Then later I realized it's not just plumbers, it's electricians, roofers, HVAC techs, chiropractors.
Yeah. Nail techs. I had like nail techs.
Yes.
And
like, dude, I watch you. I pull the word plumber out and put me in, and you just taught me something new. How did you evolve? How'd you start out and how'd you evolve?
Well, so the first channel I was doing, Journey to Master, was let me bring you on my journey, and I'm going to film my whole journey. That like, come ride with me and you'll go through my journey with me. And that was the unique thing about it.
And you knew then you were going to be a master plumber or master electrician.
I never, ever will be a plumber ever, Roger.
I tried to sneak that in. But I love that.
I knew right away. I was like, I'm going to be a master. So here's the journey. Here's where I'm going. I know I'm going to have a company. I know I'm going to hire people, and I know I'm going to do in 10, 20 years. I know it's going to be way bigger what I'm going to do. Like, huge electrical contracting company, opening schools, writing books, speaking on stage. I've just always known I have a huge trajectory, but I knew that this was at least let people see where I'm at when I'm small, so they can go back to the footage in 10 years and be like, this is where it started, and they would be on my journey and be fans or subscribers for years and years and years. So that's what I started to do with that. But the teaching thing kind of came out of nowhere. I started making videos that were really crude. I didn't have tools. I didn't have lighting or microphones and all that stuff. I was just turning the phone on, and I'd be at a job site and be like, dude, look at this craziness. Like, what do you think about this? I would never do something like this. Like, I don't know. I would just start putting opinion stuff, but it was all from educating electricians, because I realized, damn, I got this whole audience of electricians. So now nobody's making videos for these people. Right. And nobody understands what capacitors do and how current works and all this stuff. So I was like, let me put some stuff together, some video. And then that just shot. Like, it was finding out what they wanted, giving it to them.
I love that. So you started on YouTube then. Where all are you on social media now?
Pretty much everywhere. Every
we're
app.
So much alike.
I know everywhere you're at, because we're friends on every platform. And so I'm always seeing your videos come up. But yeah, like Rumble, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, we got a Discord server, we got Instagram, Facebook group, Facebook page. Forget any? Reddit. I don't do Twitter because there's not an electrician on earth on Twitter.
I do Twitter just because it's just me. So it's just, every now and then I'll go in, and I really don't use it to post content on. It's just me. Yeah. It's if people want to reach out to me and talk to me. LinkedIn is about the same way.
Oh yeah. LinkedIn's another thing.
I tell people all the time when they meet me, because I don't carry business cards.
I don't either.
I don't want them to have my cell phone number.
Yeah. And I just tell people, search the word electrician and you will find
me and you, brother, because I tell them the same thing. Just search plumbing, search plumber, either one, you'll find me. And I'll tell them that, and then I'll tell them, but if you ever want to get in touch with me, go to LinkedIn. I message back myself. That's the one that I do myself. I've got a team that helps me now. You do too. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do all this. How many comments do you get a day? Do you have any idea anymore?
It's nuts. Thousands. I don't know. That's just comments under one video on one platform.
Yes.
We got all the social media too. And there's, the DMs and the comments for every single one of these platforms. The amount of emails we get, it's outrageous. I can't do it myself. So I started hiring when I realized I just can't do this. I need another person that can groom through stuff and at least answer all the, am I too old to be an electrician? I've had that question asked thousands of times.
And same thing for a plumber. And it's always the same answer. No.
Yeah, just go.
Or that's up to you. If you think you're too old, then you probably are.
Yeah.
I had, whenever I was instructing in the union, a 55-year-old apprentice, 5th year. So he's fixing to be a journeyman. And this guy was excited. He's like, man, I love what I get to do every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, you're a plumber. Really, he was a pipe fitter, bro. I saw an opportunity. But it's the neatest thing when people come to me about getting in the trades, and this is part of the courses I'm building, and I know you're building courses, and I want to talk to you about that real quick. But when people come to me and say, I want to get in the trades, I'm like, well, what trade do you want to get in? Okay. I would have never been a good electrician. I don't like getting shocked. Bugs me. But now you say, well, Roger, poop water could splash on you. Okay, it washes off. Who cares? Doesn't bother me a bit. I know. See, different. But that's what I tell people. I want you to think about these things. You know, as an HVAC, if you said, I'm thinking about getting into HVAC, okay, can you send in a hot Texas attic for 8 hours?
Yeah. Swimming insulation.
You know, hey, by the way, you're 350 pounds that you're going to have to get up in that attic. Is that okay? And look, there's nothing wrong with it, but you've got to think about that.
Yeah.
Do you want to be up in that attic moving around all day? Then again, I meet 80-pound women that say, I want to be a plumber. It's like, you know what? Go for it. Yeah. You can find a way to get that water heater up if you really want to. And I just want people to think about things. So I always ask them different things. I ask them questions to figure out, do they want to do commercial or residential? And I explain the differences.
Yeah.
Met a guy one time would have probably been a good residential plumber. He walked up on the 5th floor and looked around and froze. He was afraid of heights. So, I mean, literally froze, could not move.
Wow.
I had to go up on the 5th floor and talk him down just to get him to walk over to get to the point where he could climb down the ladder. And he just stood there shaking. And he's like, I can't move. So, you know, I ask people questions to find out, do they want to do commercial or residential? Do they want to do service or new construction? Now, one difference in you and I asked them, do you want to be union or non-union? I've done both. Your course is where you're helping people. It's not just electricians you're trying to help. You want to help people. And tell me a little bit about your courses. I want people to hear about that. But before we get into that, will you come back and do another podcast?
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
I really didn't want you here.
The house of plumbers right now.
I thought it sounded polite.
You told me you were an electrician when you invited me up here.
I know, man. I BS'd you right from the beginning. Yeah, and the door's locked. You can't even get out. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'll definitely be back, man.
No, man, this is cool because I've had so much fun watching your journey because I met you and you were big, but you were still growing. So when I met you, it was so cool because you were doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah, dude, we met at I think I was at 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
Now we're over 500,000.
I probably had 10,000.
Yeah.
And why you even met with me, I have no idea. But, you know, we've talked about that because you'll bring people in that have hundreds of followers. You don't care.
Yeah. I make it a point in the electrical industry specifically. Even there's plumbers that have had podcasts that reach out and they've got 7 followers. It's yeah, man, I'll do this. Why not? Exactly. You're just a person. I'm just a person. Really, I want to bring people on their come up, give them opportunity. That.
So what all are you doing with your courses? And what do you plan on doing with your courses? And then I want to ask you one question that we'll end with, since I know I'm going to bring you back. We won't stretch this out into a super long one, but I want to talk to you more in the next one about training, education, social media, and just the trades, where they're at. What we could all be doing as tradespeople to grow our businesses. So, and this is something people getting in can think about. You know, we talked about this yesterday about home automation, whole house water filtration systems, air purifiers. There's a million things companies can do to grow. But let's get back to courses because you see a way to help people getting in the trades that are in the trades. What all are your courses about? What is your goal for ElectricianU?
Well, when you say courses, with me, ElectricianU is a school, you know, so my entire brand, my entire trajectory is to provide school and technological learning. So there's a huge need for digital learning, for online courses, for things like, apps and things like people can learn remotely. Our whole world has changed, right? And so
drastically.
I'm building a curriculum. So I'm building a 4-year apprenticeship program that's digital, that can be dropped into any school. So it doesn't matter if you're college, high school, vocational school, if you're an electrical contracting company and you don't want to send your guys to some huge school program. No, just let them log in. You pay for a few different users for all of them. You get all of your continuing education every year for free. If you have a state that mandates continuing education, there's premium content that's not anywhere else on YouTube. All of the books, I wrote a textbook, 730 page, like what I think is a doctorate level thesis for electricity, but it teaches from the field. So I've always been a big fan of being an electrician who creates resources for other electricians. A lot of books and other things that you watch, it's like engineers or it's foreign people that, you know, it's hard to understand what they're saying, but they don't have, there's no like real dirty hands people teaching dirty hands people through technology. And that's what I've built. So courses, like we've got so many things that are specific to electrical. We've got business courses, which is probably kind of where you're more going with this, but I want to teach people how incredibly easy it is to start a company and how incredibly difficult it is to continue running it. But if you have that passion, it's not as hard as you think. There's like a blueprint for this stuff. And there's so many of us out here that are successful with it. But yeah, I'd love to teach people how to get into it, the kind of qualities of character that you need to have and what you're going to run up against as problems and how to fix them. Yeah. And then once you've got your thing established, I really want to teach people how to grow a following, because you and I know that really well. Just be a cool human and have something of value to share with people, something consistently, and you'll grow a following around you over time.
I love that. Now, I sold my company, which is great. I wanted an exit plan, and I get to do more in social media now. You're actually growing your company.
Yeah.
And you have big aspirations.
Yeah. I want a $100 million electrical company. I want a school that's $100 million school, you know, basically a school in every state in the US. I want my curriculum for the schools that are not my schools. I want our curriculum to be taught in high schools and colleges. So at every point along the journey of somebody that's in the electrical trade, from the first video they ever see somebody talking about, well, the electricians are cool, this is, you know, like you should do this for a career. I got videos like that pull people in. And then throughout their entire apprenticeship, I want to be the one they're coming to learn. And then once they would decide to get a journeyman's license and they want practice exams and exam preparation stuff, they come back to me because I've got stuff for them. They're going for their master, same thing. We've got master level courses for them. Once they become a company and they've started running stuff, we're going to have technology and apps and things that can analyze, use AI to help them run their company. A lot of 20-year-old plumber or 20-year plumbers and 20-year electricians, we're great tradesmen. I don't know anything about business.
Not at all.
We're just looking at the guys that we've worked for, like, they're making money, they're doing these things, but that's a whole other 20-year trajectory as a business person.
Yeah.
So having technology that can help analyze all of that. And there's all kinds of stuff like VR that we're doing, VR training. So I want to give my big mission when I'm 80 and I'm laying on my deathbed is, did I actually help people? Did I do something that mattered to get enough people who were really struggling and lost in this world and didn't know what to do? Did I set them on a path, and where are they today? Has it made a difference? And have they, through that, made a difference in other people's lives? That's my goal. That's my mission. And it just happens to be electricians are my way of doing it. We're the best.
You know, and it's so funny. I want to, because I look at plumbers the same way. I started looking at plumbers. Now it's like I look at tradespeople. That's why we started the trade talks.
Yeah.
It's where I'm talking with electricians, roofers, HVAC techs. And my thing is, there's 1 million unfilled trades jobs across the United States. And there's $1 trillion in student debt.
Yeah.
Don't you think if that student debt was worth it, those kids would have paid that stuff off?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thought.
I can't tell you how many people that I know that have degrees in liberal arts or whatever, restaurant management, and they're swinging hammers every day.
You bet. And now they love it. They're like,
they
oh my gosh, I love what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to get you back again. I love that. And we're going to talk more about social media, how to do social media, your school, your training, your ideas, stuff that I'm wanting to do. I want to talk more about that, but I want to go back and ask you a question. If you could talk to little Dustin Stelzer, who has not walked into the electrical company yet that morning, you're walking out of your house, getting ready to go over there for your first job interview. What do you know now you would tell yourself that day?
I would say, homie, this is a slow game. So, the concept of work fast, but work slow, meaning everything that you're doing, put yourself in fully, work fast, show up, be on time, put all of yourself in. So, don't work slow and be lazy. Like really put yourself and invest yourself into this, but work slow in that this is a long game and this is the career for the rest of your life. So take that seriously, learn everything that you can from everybody that you can. And I think if I would have changed one thing, I think I would have been a little bit more purposeful about where I chose to work. And I would have chosen very specific trajectories so that I could get the best, absolute best education from every single one of them that I could. And I probably would have picked some different mentors in business, some people that had like $20 million a year companies, $100 million a year companies, to work for them, try to get into maybe a superintendent role for a while just to see that scale of business before breaking off and doing my own thing. I've been a dad since I was 18, so I've just had money. I have to make money. I have to get these licenses. So that was the driving force behind everything that I did. But I think if I would have just thought of this as a mature older man, as a younger person, I would have had a lot more impactful time doing it before I broke off on my own company. Because once I broke off in my own company, I was underexperienced, but I had the master license, and I knew that going into it. But I think I could have gained more experience before jumping ship and doing all of that. Just play the long game. So put yourself fully into everything you do every day, but understand you're not going to be impressing anybody for at least 15 years.
So true. So true. Man, I love that. Number one, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming in and sharing, with everybody. Getting to meet you 3-4 years ago was fantastic. Been a great friendship since then. I love that I can call you and ask you questions about social media, about the trades, whatever.
Yeah, you call me on stage a lot of times, or like in groups of people. You use me, bro.
Whatever.
And then you tell me, you're like, immediately the first words out of your mouth are, Dustin, don't swear right now.
I know.
In front of a bunch of people.
Always be you, but don't ever walk on my stage and be you. No, I love seeing what you're doing. I love watching you grow. Your sponsorships, the way your channel's evolved, the things you've done, it's fantastic. I appreciate you being on here, and everybody here, remember, he said he will come back and do this again. So if you want to hear more, come back again. If you don't want to hear any more from Dustin, skip that episode. No, this has been good. And those of y'all that are watching, remember, check out ElectricianU. Check out Journey to Master, the number 2 master, and see what all he's done, see how he's done it to get there. It's been phenomenal. I still learn going back and watching it. Sometimes, remember, you learn what not to do.
Hey now.
Don't be an electrician, but that's one for me. No, this has been fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Anybody else wants to see more of Dustin, go check out our live stream. Check out the videos that we've done over on Roger Wakefield. We've got a lot of stuff there, and you can catch a lot of him over on his channels. But Dustin, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Anytime.